John Fredericks Radio Network, Trucking the Truth. Joining me now from the great state of Wisconsin, my good friend, Sheriff David Clarke. Sheriff Clarke, great to have you, sir.
John, good morning. How the heck are you?
Oh, man, got so much to talk about, so little time. Sheriff, let's start with Bubba Wallace. So there's no noose. Everybody jumps to conclusions. Once again, the fake news gets way ahead of it, gets it wrong. No apology. It was simply hung up there to open and close the garage. It was there over a year. Bubba Wallace, well, he never apologized. In fact, he said he still doesn't believe it, even though everybody else has the same one. Now, that didn't make any sense. Then you got Nikki Haley jumping on the bandwagon immediately, tweeting things out about how disgraceful it is, and the whole NASCAR organization, she said, should look in the mirror, etc. All. As it turns out, it was a hoax. They didn't have anything to do with a noose, just like Jesse Smollet, who had to hire foreigners in order to make believe it was a hate crime. But there's no accountability, Sheriff. What's up here?
Yeah, it's a hoax, no doubt about it. I remember when the story first broke, my initial reaction was, and I posted this on Parler, people can follow me on Parler at Sheriff Clarke, and I said, doesn't pass a smell test. I said, I'll withhold judgment, but here we go again, and sure as heck, it's Jesse Smollet all over again. Apparently, Bubba Wallace can't tell the difference between a noose and a dog leash. He'd probably see somebody walking down the street, walking the dog down the street, and yell noose and want an FBI investigation. NASCAR could have investigated that themselves. There was no need to bring the FBI in. I don't know why the FBI got involved. The U.S. attorney for that area said he said from the onset, I don't think there's any crime here that could be charged, but we're going to investigate. Since when does the FBI investigate when in their belief there's no crime that could even be charged? Let's say it was a noose. Local authorities could have done that. Shame on NASCAR. They've really stepped in it from the beginning, banning the use of, or wearing of or bringing of the Confederate flag to races. That's a speech issue. It really is. We may find it distasteful. Some may find that flag distasteful, but the fact is it's still speech, and it's protected speech in this country. So, NASCAR doing their best to morally preen, to flaunt their racial sensitivity, really comes out looking bad. The president of NASCAR said whoever did this will be banned for life, and one of he's going to ban garage doors for life.
Nobody at NASCAR did this, right? Because it was just to open up and close the garage. It's been there a year. So nobody did this. The fake news jumped to conclusions. Bubba Wallace went all around social media talking about it, saying that it was a disgrace. And he's got Black Lives Matter written on his car and on his shirt. And that's fine. It's his choice. It's his car with his sponsors, whatever. Where's the mea culpa here? Where is the, hey, I'm sorry that I jumped to conclusions and got everybody all in a tither. I'm really sorry I didn't take time to try to evaluate whether or not this was done out of hate or whatever. It was there to open the garage and close the garage. It was just hanging there to open and close it, just like on all the other garages in Talladega. Didn't they bother to look at any of the others? What is the deal with this guy?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the guy has 0 wins in 5 years on the NASCAR, the Cup Series circuit, 0 wins. So he can't get any attention on the track. So just like Colin Kaepernick decides he'll get some attention off track by making this claim, he disparaged every white person in America. He came out with a statement and said this is a despicable situation of racism and hate. That's what he said. This is a despicable symbol of racism and hate, disparaging every white person, because who else would that's what he was implying, who else would plant the noose, right? So he does owe an apology, but he knew from the beginning what was going on. But here, that's why I bring in Jesse Smollet, because he knew that nobody would really dig deep and question it. That's what happened here. Okay? He knew, and I believe that if the FBI, and they should have done this, I know they didn't, they should have pressed him. They should have sat him down, not questioned him on the track. They should have sat him down, brought him in, and debriefed him. And I bet they could have got it out of him that, I know this wasn't it, and so on and so forth. But everybody's walking around on eggshells. They don't want to offend. So, that's where we're at right now. But I found the whole thing distasteful on the part of NASCAR and their driver there. They should have known better. Got America all up in a tizzy.
That's a disgrace. I mean, the fact that he didn't even apologize. I mean, he just jumped on the bandwagon. How about Nikki Haley? I will never vote for Nikki Haley for anything. She immediately jumps on the bandwagon, says this big tweet out about how disgraceful it is and NASCAR needs to be investigated. They didn't do anything. I mean, it's unbelievable how people jump to conclusions with no accountability when they're wrong. Could you imagine if this was done on the other side? The fake news would be going berserk. All right. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're with Sheriff David Clarke. He's live in Wisconsin. He used to be the sheriff of Milwaukee. Now he is senior advisor with webuildthewall.us. Webuildthewall.us. You can go to there. You can follow him on Parler at Sheriff Clarke. Sheriff, let me just read you Sean King, who's one of the leaders of Black Lives Matter, along with co-founder Patrisse Cullors. Here's what they're saying, and I just want to get your thoughts here because we have to start reporting the things they're saying, okay? So basically what they said is, Sean King said that we need to tear everything down, including churches and places of worship, and make Trump resign in any way that we can. He also said that you can't have any real conversations until all this stuff is down, including all church murals, pictures of Christ, and stained glass. This is what they're saying. So basically now if you are a Catholic, I guess they can come into your church, destroy the Virgin Mary statue, destroy Christ on a cross, break all your stained glass windows, and as a Catholic, we're supposed to sit back and say, well, we understand.
Well, what people aren't understanding, John, and I'm finding it dangerously naive, is what's really at stake here and what's involved here. This is a Marxist-Leninist plot. That is what it is. This is found in many writings on socialism and how to destroy capitalism and take over a socialist state. One of the things that has to happen is they have to get rid of religion. They can't have people believing in a higher power higher than they are. And that's why they go after the church. One of the other things with the church is those are peaceful people, okay, including me. I'm a member of a church, and they better not come in breaking up stuff when I'm in there because they're going to get a entirely different reaction than what they're used to now. They're pushing people around, and people are putting up with it. Sean King, he's the white guy that pretended to be black for a number of years. Is that the same guy? So here he is again. He endorsed Bernie Sanders for president. He is a Marxist, a socialist himself. And so that's what's at play here. And that's why I said it's dangerously naive to think, well, these people, racism and white supremacy and white privilege. No, it's beyond that right now. And until government, and I'm probably talking about law enforcement, I'm talking about political leaders as well, until they understand that this is a dangerous plot and that this has to be crushed, not dealt with, not sat down and listened to. This movement has to be crushed or they will keep it up. They're going to push and push and push until somebody stops them. And until somebody stops them, they're going to continue it this time. They're really feeling it this time.
One of the things that we talked about yesterday, let me just break this down for you, Sheriff Clarke, is that right now President Trump is positioning himself as the candidate for order and civilization. And Biden is now aligned with the DNC and the radicals that represent mobs and chaos and anarchy and whatever else goes with that. Do the Democrats really think that going into November that suburban women, white or black, with children they're taking to baseball, soccer, or football, are going to vote for chaos in the streets, anarchy, Molotov cocktails, mobs, destroy property, burn cities down? I mean, do they really think that's their prescription, their pathway to victory, Sheriff?
Yes, they do. Let's sort that out a little bit. First of all, suburban women will vote for Joe Biden. They're dangerously naive as well. Here's what's at play in this socialist plot. You have the liberal media, you have intelligentsia, those are your college professors, your high school teachers. They're the ones that have indoctrinated this generation of kids with this poison, The third group is the Democrat Party. They believe that this is their path to victory. As crazy as it sounds, they realize they have indoctrinated enough people in this country to get them to come out and vote for this. Let's keep in mind, too, that suburban women in huge numbers voted for Mrs. Bill Clinton. So the Trump campaign can forget about, trying to peel off some suburban women, because they're not the ones that put Trump in the White House in the first place. It was middle-class males. It was middle-class blacks. It was disenchanted, disaffected voters who felt left out of the process, the forgotten men. Those are the ones that put Trump in the White House. Those are the ones that will return Trump to the White House. He has to have bigger numbers than last time. But he's got to stop chasing these groups. And I don't mean him personally. I'm talking about his campaign. They have to stop chasing these groups. They have no chance at getting, no chance at turning around in the 132 days or whatever else we have left here, and go after his base. And he's got to hit his base hard, turn his base out in record numbers. Keep in mind, too, in 2016, only 62% of registered voters voted. So there's still a lot of voters out there that you can go after, but I wouldn't try to go after the ones that voted for Mrs. Bill Clinton in 2016.
I don't think there's any question about it, but the really question going forward for people is where we go from here. Now, here's what the president did the other day, Sheriff. He instituted the Monuments Clause, the executive order, that basically says if you are convicted of desecrating or destroying or otherwise defacing federal property, right, you can face up to 10 years in jail. And the reason for this is once you have no regard for personal property of someone else, private property, whether it be your house, a statue, a park, a tree, whatever it is, once you have no regard for other person's property and you're able to destroy it, burn it, trash it, collapse it, or pee on it, or whatever they do, right? Once that's allowed, you have chaos. You have no society. You have no civilization. Because if I want what's in your house and there's no regard for private property, I could just go in there and say, I like that 70-inch big plasma TV screen you got, walk in, smash your window, take it out, and give you the finger, right? Because, hey, there's no cops and there's no regard for private property. So now he's going to sign this. What happens when the first person who's trying to tear a statue down is arrested? What happens?
Well, first of all, what's at stake here is the rule of law, and it's in tatters right now. There's just no doubt about that. One of the problems he's going to have with that, I like it, but the problem is at the prosecution level. You have enough rogue U.S. assistant U.S. attorneys out there that simply won't prosecute. Okay, that's what's happening here. So, yeah, it's nice to have laws. We have plenty of laws. We have a lot of laws on the books, but they're not being enforced. So it's one thing to sign a bill saying executive action, this is what's going to happen. It's another, that's the prosecutorial level, where, you have to question whether it will happen. These things always, when someone's arrested for one of these crimes, these things always fade into obscurity, several weeks after the incident. And we never hear what happened to these individuals. I still would like to know what happened to all the people who were arrested during inauguration when that riot broke out. There were a lot of people arrested. And at the time that the U.S. attorney in the D.C. district there said, we're going to aggressively prosecute these people, you never heard from it. We never heard about it again. I doubt that anybody went to prison over that. So, it's one thing to say it, but we need action right now. We need aggressive action, not just saber rattling.
You've also got Republicans that, don't really stand with the president on a lot of the America First initiatives. Here's one, Sheriff, and, we're going to have to grapple with this as we go into the election. Martha McSally, Republican Senator, Arizona, basically a never-Trumper, traditional Republican, losing her race to Kelly, who was the astronaut. So she comes out with a bill yesterday. It's called the TRIP Act. Get this. Each couple in America gets $8,000. Single people get $4,000, only to be spent on a vacation. Airfare, hotel, meals. You have to go on vacation. You have to prove to the government you're going on vacation, and they will pay for your vacation. And, of course, if you don't want to go on vacation, you don't get the money. So, basically, I don't want to go on vacation somewhere, so I have to pay to send somebody else on vacation, and she's a Republican, and she's running for re-election. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah, leave it up to anybody in Congress, either party, to think that we can spend our way out of this. That's the craziest. If you'd told me that, and we were on this radio program, I think you were pulling my leg.
Yep.
Okay,
No, it's called
get a rise out of it.
This is a Republican.
Insane.
I would think Bernie Sanders would do this. This is a Republican. It's called the TRIP Act. I mean, now they're talking about another stimulus package. Stimulus for what? We're getting out of the virus. We need to get people back to work, not pay them to stay home. Yeah. What are the Republicans thinking, Sheriff?
Well, what they could have proposed, and I wish the president would have continued to press him on it, is the tax holiday, the payroll tax holiday, where they stopped taking your payroll taxes out for a period of time, because that would have gone directly to people, and then anybody working, you would have had to be working in order to get it, instead of just sending people a check for sitting around doing nothing. That's what the president proposed. It was a great policy idea. It never went anywhere, and it wasn't going to go anywhere in the GOP-controlled Senate either. Both political parties, like the president said, this isn't really about this next election. November is not about Democrat versus Republican. It's going to come down to who likes American culture, who likes American way of life, who likes the United States of America, and who hates it.
How do we win?
Well, I got to go back at the base and target the base. The people are nervous. Trump's base is nervous. All right. I was talking to a woman from Alabama the other day, and she indicated that to me. She said, "Sheriff, I'm nervous. I'm voting for Trump. I've always been with Trump, but I'm real nervous because he seems to be on his heels right now, not as aggressive as he needs to be." I thought he was great in that speech the other night in Tulsa, by the way, because he was spot on message. That's how you win. You you motivate your base, you energize your base, and then you get them out to the polls on election day. It's that simple, John, especially in the swing states. There's no magic to this. There's no Einsteinian theory to voting. Energize your base. An energized voter is going to vote, and an enthused voter is going to vote. Then on election day, you got to get them out. But we got to worry about voter fraud. We got to watch for that too. The cheating that the Democrats are going to do, they're making it clear that elections don't matter anymore. They made it clear after 2016. So you got to motivate your base and get your voters to the polls.
Right.
If he does that in these swing states, he'll be fine.
Well, we got to do it. We got to turn the corner. And when you get people like Martha McSally in Arizona, senator running for re-election, introducing a Republican to give people $8,000 to go on vacation of taxpayer money that we're borrowing from China. It is insane beyond belief. That's why I'm not a Republican. That's why I hate Republicans, because of Martha McSally, and she's going to lose, and I could care less. Unbelievable. John Fredericks Radio Network. Hey, Sheriff, thanks for being with us, as always.
My pleasure.